Well, hello, and a very warm welcome to the Andrew Eborn Show with me, Andrew Eborn, and my very special guest, as always, regular guest here on the show, Errol Musk. How are we doing, Errol?
I'm all right, thank you. Quite busy at the moment, but I'm trying my best. And you?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I'm really excited. Next few days, we're going to have a new president in the United States. So, President Trump is his inauguration on the 20th. Elon, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they're all going to attend the inauguration, and I think they're all going to be seated together. Phenomenal. 885 billion is what they've worked out, the combined wealth of all of those, which is good. At the
What?
same time, Elon's
What's 88?
having to
What's
navigate
800?
the various bits and pieces with people like Steve Bannon, who's labeling Elon as a truly evil guy and
I
worried
see
about
what you
his
mean.
influence. What's your take on all of that?
Well, it's a good time. They're having a bit of a break. It's nice. I spoke to Elon on Monday night. Monday. Where are we now? Tuesday night, and they're hell of a busy, very very busy, and basically, they're having a good time. There's been problems, Steve Bannon saying Elon is an evil man. It seems like they like to use the word evil, and so on. Of course, sour grapes, I suppose. But my advice to Elon was to include Steve Bannon in the perhaps in the Doge team, because obviously he's a good man. He's a good man, and you can't just not take notice of what he has to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's right. I
Yeah.
mean, it's all about. I mean, you're very savvy in terms of political terms yourself, and it's about navigating those different interests and the different political factions, even within the Republican circle. What advice? I mean, you said include Steve Bannon is always great advice. Include people with an alternative view. What other advice would you give to Elon as we're starting this new presidency?
No, I've got no advice. I mean, they obviously know what they have to do. I don't think it's a problem. They don't need my advice. But what I did give them advice for was, include Bannon in your team, because he's spoken very much about the Doge people, bringing too many H-1B visa people out to America, from overseas. Elon, on the other hand, insists that without H-1B, he wouldn't even be there. So you've got to meet each other somewhere. There's room for H-1B, and at the same time, you have to make sure that Americans come first. I mean, it's simple. It's not really very. It's not brain surgery.
No, absolutely. And, although rocket science could be more appropriate for Elon, you work on
Yeah.
that sort of basis. But you're right. I mean, the other thing, well, Elon's going to have this new office in the White House, in the Eisenhower executive office building in the White House complex. Steve Bannon, he said he's not going to give him a blue pass, make sure he doesn't get a blue pass, and he won't give him full access to the White House. He'll just be like any other person. Do you think they can resolve this difference with Steve Bannon? And do you think that's the best way of doing it? Getting
Oh,
them.
yeah, yeah. No, of course they can. And Elon's going to say, "Listen, you don't give me a pass, I'm not going to come at all. So, you better make up your mind. You'll just say, I don't want to do this anymore." So he's not going to be shoved into, second class or something like that. No, he wants at least equal treatment. That's all. But
And
yeah.
I think that's right. You can surround yourself with alternative views, and you have a sensible debate about it. Now, one of the big things, lots of announcements. What I love about this show is we unpack the major stories that have been breaking, and put them into perspective and actually clarify some misunderstandings. AI is all over the place, as always. As you know, I'm campaigning to put the AI into Britain. Well, Keir Starmer has been out this week saying that we're going to have a right at the front and centre of AI. You've also had Elon talking about robotopia and will bloom in an aging Europe. Basically, he's saying that there'll be more androids than people by 2040, and he's predicted a future where robots outnumber humans. What's your take on this vision?
Well, I mean, in 2090, we're going to all be floating up in bubbles. So actually nobody knows. So I mean, it's a good indication of which way things are going. Let's see what happens. I mean, contemplating the future, I mean, is very important. But to try and write it down as though it's going to happen exactly. Well, that's another story. I would say that what one does have to do is what I've been in Dubai about recently is to start an institute where a study is made of space-time travel and gravity and of proper way we can do fusion. And that was simply an idea on my side. It's got nothing to do with Elon. And people took it up very, very much because, traveling interplanetary with rockets, the way we envisaged it, is basically like building a railway line across the Atlantic. The guys in 1900 would have had that idea, So we will get to America on a railway line. We'll build it across the Atlantic on stilts or something. And that's similar to trying to get to, the planets around us with a rocket. Never mind getting anywhere else. And the right way to do it is we've got to learn how to warp space. Now, it's been done mathematically. It now has to be done. We have to find out how you do it. So that's just my take on that. But everything's looking all right at the moment. I think it's looking good. I mean, all around. In England, what I would say, I wanted to say to you today, Nigel Farage, not the man he was 2 months ago. He seems to have picked himself up a bit, and he seems to be doing quite a good job of things. He certainly seems to be demanding this national inquiry into the rape gangs, and I mean that's absolutely essential. And then for him not to do that is out of the question. He has to basically go and dress himself up in a sack and stand outside Parliament and say, unless they do this, I'm going to stand here until I drop dead. That's what he has to do, and something to like that, and get people to notice. But at the same time, Nigel Farage has not spoken about the other two issues, and that is releasing the political prisoners. There are 3,000 political prisoners. Make no mistake, they're political prisoners. And they can say what they like about how they incited this and they did damage and they did that. They are political prisoners. They were victims of circumstance at the time, but they essentially were people protesting, and as a result, they political prisoners. And it comes into this thing about not being able to criticize any other race in a bar or something to that effect. The new idea, which is crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, especially in the land that started reasoning. I mean, after Rome was lost, it took a long time before we had another country that said, let's reason things out. And that was England, So, and then the other thing that he has to do, whether he likes it or not, if he's going to be anywhere, he's got to call for the release of Tommy Robinson. And he can't go on with us saying, Tommy didn't go to Eton, so he's not going to be part of the Reform Party. Because that's what it boils down to. Tommy's not posh enough, something to that effect. And the British are very, into their class system. So they're desperately concerned about somebody not being posh. Yeah. And, so it's real nonsense,
Well, Nigel would say that he doesn't align with Tommy Robinson's views on some of these things. And I think that's why.
No, that's what he says. That's what he says, Then what people say and what they actually are about, that's something else,
Right.
So no, he has to do those things. He's got three things to do. He's got to insist somehow to get this national inquiry into the rape gangs. He's got to get the prisoners out of the political prisoners out of prison. He's got to get Tommy Robinson out of prison. He's got to welcome. Tommy doesn't need to join the Reform Party. I mean, that's his decision if he applies or something to that effect. But Nigel Farage can't say, well, sorry, we're not having you, If that's your way you run a political party, I'm sorry for you, you're not going to get anywhere, Yeah. And the other things I wanted to say is, of course, that Tommy is reasonably safe in prison. I was thinking about it, in solitary confinement, he's not going to find himself the victim of what they call it again. I'm looking for the name of it here. A shiv. He's not going to wind up having a shiv shoved into him, So, I've lost it. But at any rate, And then as far as Elon is concerned, you're talking about Elon and what do I expect on that side? One of the things I note on that side is that it's getting harder for Elon. It's getting harder. Politics is not like business and private enterprise where, you get ahead by getting your head down, concentrating your work, being patient, working into the night, doing the right thing. That's not politics. Politics is about, I wrote the words down here, repartee, rhetoric, speeches, wit. That's what politics is about. And the quick slap back answer, this is what it's about, and speeches. So when we look at politics, we think of people, I think of people that were good in politics who made it, to the top and are famous and in history and everything. I mean, you look at Churchill, we will fight them on the beaches. You look at Reagan, what does he say? Tear this wall down, Mr. Gorbachev. That's what we remember. Kennedy, ich bin ein Berliner, and so on. And then, of course, your own country, Margaret Thatcher, in a speech once, she said, no, 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 I think about 10 times. And that's what's remembered, And so that's what Elon has to learn, in my opinion. It's very hard. Politics is you're a hero one day and you're a zero the next, as you know. So it doesn't matter. It's not like the private business where the better you make a product, the more likely it is you're going to sell it. In politics, you can make the best product ever, and then if you don't sell it, don't know how to sell it, you've had it,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that sort of thing. And do you think, I mean, Elon, he's as you say, he sort of grew up with politics in his blood. It was 50% of his life with your own activities in politics. Do you think he wants to be a politician, not just in the US, but around the world? And people are complaining on that sort of basis that he's interfering.
Well, it comes back to this, to what I was saying a minute ago. Yes, of course, he's interested in the things that plague people. And, it's as though he's under the impression, it's clear that to him all these situations have a solution. In his mind, these are the ways that a person who's not versed in politics looks at things. There's a solution. Of course, there's a solution. The solution is you just do this, this, and that. Of course, tell that to the people, and you'll get 10 different groups, half of them wanting to take you to war on your solution, and the other all fighting with you. Maybe one saying it's not a bad idea, and to the mind that likes to take, the technical mind especially likes to make sense of everything. So it's just the technical way. You've got to make sense of everything. In politics, it's very difficult because things that make sense to you do not make sense to other people, and so that's a big problem. If you said to someone, how do you solve the problem in Israel, for example, I mean, the person who likes to make sense would say, well, Hamas must have a nice place and the Israelis must have a nice place, and they should all sort of get on with each other and sort of help each other out and speak nicely to each other. That's logical. It just doesn't happen like that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely, and it's encouraging debate from all sides, and I think that's what Elon, as a free speech absolute, is trying to do. Say, look, let's get the debate so we can make an informed decision. Now, X is obviously that sort of platform, and he always says that we are the media now. Well, we've got the Securities and Exchange Commission have started this lawsuit against Elon for apparently failing to disclose early Twitter stock purchase. What's your take on that story?
Well, no, that's a political move. That's not it's another political move. The number of people in bureaucracy in America that are basically in there as Democrats, and it's their way of making a living is to be a bureaucrat. It's the other half of humanity. You've got the one half doing things, the other half, having things done for them, and they're the people having things done for them. So the SEC, that's a political attack on Elon, looking for anything they can. Fortunately, he has a new administration now who actually would look at what he's done favorably, and like most of the people in the world. But that's their technique, their way of seeing what they can do to, bring X down and bring Elon down and restore things to a situation it was before, where X was, or Twitter was simply a propaganda arm for the government, you know.
And
No,
it is
obviously,
interesting because
he just has to fight them.
yeah, more and more organizations are saying that they're coming off X. We've just had in the last few hours the German army has said that they're going to leave X because of ongoing tensions between Elon and the German authority. They say there's an inability to have a factual debate on the site. How do you think this impacts Elon's relationship with European governments, and what advice would you give to him to navigate
Well,
those international
that's
waters?
that's of course ridiculous, because on X you can have a balanced debate. That's the whole point. No, so the German army is not asking for this. It's people, a few people who, once again, the bureaucrats who've managed to get themselves entrenched, they are the ones who are saying we're going to take the army out. The army is not consulted on this. They're just, they're not consulted. They are simply used as a sort of group that they, gives the impression that it's a large group. No, it's just a few people who are using it, the same as the SEC. It's a political attack.
And we also had that interview with Elisa Vidal. Did you have a chance to see that? The co-leader of the far-right German AfD party. Elon hosted that, the live conversation with Elisa Vidal.
Yes, I have looked at the AfD party. I see most of the people are women. A woman is a leader. When I see that, you have to think, the women have actually taken the lead there. And by the nature of things, women aren't as schemy and, well, sometimes I suppose in relationships there might be, but women are more, not inclined to, do crafty things. I would think that it's a good thing, and that it's women that are taking the lead there in Germany. Germany's on such a downward skid. There's not words for it. No, and as far as them being far right, I mean, that's ridiculous. They're dead center. This far right nonsense. I mean, if you don't do what I say, then you're far right. I mean, that's crazy. I mean,
it's always a label, isn't it? They slap on people when they disagree with them. They say, well, they're far right, or they're anti-Semites, or this, that, or we have this sort of language where we like to slap labels on people to dismiss an argument.
Yeah, well, breaks. They try and put them into a sort of cliche image. So you're beautiful when you say something and to people, and they say, oh, you're a bully. Well, that's, everybody knows. Oh, gee, that's a big one. And down you go because you're a bully. And you, no matter how much you say, no, I'm just trying to be reasonable. No, you're a bully. And that just resonates with everybody. Oh, okay, right. Now we know what his problem is.
Yeah. The important thing is to listen to the argument, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole point. Is that don't slap a label and dismiss it on that sort of basis. But around the world, we get political leaders who are having a pushback to Elon. We've got the Australian Prime Minister now, Anthony Albanese. He's sort of turning around and saying, don't interfere. Don't meddle in our election. They're a matter for the Australians, not for you. What's your message to him?
Well, I don't think Elon is going to be doing much of this once the new cabinet is formed, assuming he's in the cabinet. I think he will be. But at the present time, he's a private person, and as a private person, like somebody who writes a book or might have a podcast or something like that, he's more or less entitled to say what he feels like. I mean, if they don't like what he's saying, well, just turn him off or something, or don't listen. It's not absolutely essential. I mean, there are thousands of people coming out with their opinions at the moment. I mean, you only have to go to all the podcasts, and you get all the opinions in the world. But no, Elon is just voicing his opinion, so they don't have to take notice of him. In fact, that he stands out a bit. That's about what it boils down to.
Yeah.
But once he's in government, of course, he would have to speak to the cabinet, because obviously anything he says would have to. They'd have to presume it came from the whole cabinet, surely. And if he's in a team, So he would not just be able to say things without first checking, with the people around him. Yeah,
And I think, as you
that will
say,
be
he's
after
making clear
Monday.
it's and he himself put out a meme, says, well, when George Soros gets involved, everybody sort of turns a blind eye.
Yes.
But when he gets involved, they all are up in arms about it.
Well, yes. I mean, Soros, Gates, all these people. There's quite a few of them, who have no problem, interfering in everybody's lives and doing things that reprehensible things in some cases. But if it seems to resonate with the people who are on the so-called left, the loonies, as I would call them, then it's okay. But if it's something to do with doing things properly and making sure everybody's taken care of and everybody's getting their fair share, and all that sort of stuff. Oh no, they don't like that. They don't like that. You know. you know.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And I was asked about this. I say I was on LBC myself, and they sort of say, well, it depends on who Elon's supporting. If he's supporting them, they don't object. If he's not supporting them, they cry out and say it's outrageous.
Well, yes. I mean, 5 or 6 years ago, Elon was supporting Biden. I don't think he really gave it much thought. I think he was heavily involved in the work that he's doing. All the factories and stuff. And in his opinion, it seemed to be a good thing if he supported Biden and gave Biden a bit of money and all that sort of stuff, because it sat well with the people he was socializing with, I suppose, in those days as well. But since then, since he woke up to what Biden's all about, he said, hey, wait a minute, and quickly, got on a bus going in the other direction.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Keir Starmer, I know he's always in Elon's thoughts. So, what he's sort of saying is that we might need to change the election law. At the moment, it forbids political parties from accepting foreign donations, but there is a loophole that you can do it through a UK company and so on and so forth. He's going to try and crack down on that, possibly because of the alleged contribution that Elon may or may not make to the Reform Party. What's your take on the possibility of this sort of restriction?
Well, whoever the party is that wants money, I mean, assuming it's reform, so you can also get a loan. I mean, there's nothing preventing you from going to people who loan money, and so it could be a bank, it could be a bridging finance company or something like that. And you could go and borrow money. I mean, they could go to, in Elon's case, and say, we don't want money from you, but we would like to take a loan out with you, which we would like to be able to repay later. And that's normal. That's the same as going to Barclays Bank, and for a business or something, it's the same thing. So no, I don't think. I think Starmer's, he's not going to come right with any of these things, not at all. What is more interesting is Starmer hasn't been invited to the White House, to the inauguration. I mean, I can't imagine this guy going to the inauguration. I mean, can you imagine? I'm the guy if he's in the audience, standing up, when it's quiet and saying, I'm the guy who called you this and that. I'm the guy who said you're a piece of this and a piece of that. I mean, it would be really great, and sort of verbal fight between him and Trump. I mean, it'd be laughable, but anyway, the thing is, he's not going, and none of his people are going to have any real opportunity to work with the American administration. Not after you said the things they've said. It's not possible.
Well, Nigel Farage is going to go there. He did say that he wants to try and patch it up with Elon and explain to him his views. Do you think that's going to happen?
I don't think I don't think he has to patch anything up with Elon. When somebody's enemy, I've employed people most of my life, and when you've got somebody working in your business or whatever it is, your practice or something, and they're not really shaping up, you look at it very carefully. It could be a man, it could be a woman, and you realize, well, they're not really happy here. And so you might go to them and say to them, look, I think I've got a place where I think you might be happier, because I don't think you're really into the things we're doing, and I think you're forcing yourself, something to that effect. Doesn't mean that when Elon said Starmer's should not be the lead, that it's be on an end all. What he's saying, I'm not happy with your performance so far at this point, under the circumstances. I was happy, but in the last few months, when I've seen, the rape gang thing, I've seen the prisoners not being released, Tommy Robinson being dissed by you so badly, I don't feel you're the right person. So, I mean, in that case, it's similar going to a person on your staff and saying, do you want to see things differently? We'd like you to say if you can see things differently or change, or, and if, as I said myself, then you might go and say, look what I've done recently. And Elon might say, well, I'm very happy with what you've done on the rape gang thing. It looks like we are going to get an inquiry there, one way or another. The MPs are coming your way. All the Labour MPs seem to be trying to save their lives, actually, because if they don't, and later on, they'll never be re-elected to anything. They have to come out now and say, we want the election. Remember, their votes are going to be counted against them. But at any rate, I know. So Elon might then say, well, you're doing good. You've gone halfway. Now let's go the rest of the way, and then I'm behind you again. It's conceivable.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a bad person. I mean, he certainly speaks well. It's Farage, I mean.
Yeah, no, it'd be very interesting to see how that unfolds over the next few days. Finally, for today, and talk to me about the potential TikTok sale, which has been muted, about Elon might acquire TikTok's US operations. Do you think that's likely?
I don't know. I use TikTok because it's fun. It's a way of winding down is to sit and scroll through TikTok posts, because it's the ultimate relaxation, I would say. And so I can't see any reason why TikTok should be banned. I mean, for what? I mean, it's not doing anything bad. And you've got loonies on every second page. That doesn't mean you have to listen to them. If you want to go listen to them, fair enough. But you don't have to. And you can also comment on what they're saying. It's essentially a free speech platform. You can say, I think you're talking a load of rubbish in the comment, or you shouldn't be on TikTok, you stupid, or something to that effect. Like, you can do that. I think TikTok says, if you say something like, I think you're stupid, do you think you'd like to rephrase that? And you say, okay, fine. I don't think you're very clever.
It is interesting. And President Trump's made it clear.
I can see absolutely no reason to ban TikTok. I don't ban anything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, they're worried about security, but President Trump's made it clear that he'd probably reverse that anyway, because he says it gets him an audience, a younger audience, which helped him secure the election.
Of course. I mean, there's no good reason. There's not a good reason to ban TikTok. I mean, some people might say it's trashy. Oh, well, sometimes it's fun to watch trashy stuff, sometimes to relax. Yeah. You don't go to TikTok to do your studies for the day, put in your all your hard work for the day. You go to TikTok when you're having a bit of a lie down, or you're having a cup of tea, or you're having a drink or a beer or something, and just go through it. And it's sort of it's like therapy, watching other people suffer or something, or complain or
it is interesting, but it would fit quite well. It would fit quite well into Elon's armory, wouldn't it? And I think they're suggesting a purchase price of something similar to what he paid for X, or Twitter as it then was. Do you think he would be quite tempted to buy it?
Well, I don't know. I would think of it from my point of view. If you take Rupert Murdoch, a tremendously solid sort of guy in terms of what he's done. I mean, from where he started and where he is. No, you've got to give your hats off to him. But whether you like him or not, what he says, what his newspapers say. But at any rate, no. The problem is, if you have all the newspapers, you start getting too much criticism. What are you? You sort of, it's not. You have too much influence. And I think that if you had Twitter and TikTok, it's starting to look too much influence over people. If people think you're using the platform to influence people. So I would, I don't know, I wouldn't, I'd say focus on X. Do what he said about X, which is going to be as a website where you can Google stuff like you do on Google. It's going to have a search engine where you can pay your bank accounts, pay your electricity, finance a car, all the things that he planned to do with X. It's a one-stop, like, supermarket for things,
like
on the
WeChat
internet.
in China, wasn't it? Who's going to have the app that does everything?
Well, yeah, something like that. I mean, I've heard of WeChat. I've never used it, but success is when everybody's using it. So if you've got X and everybody's using it, then it's a success. But if it's some other one that didn't really take off, well, that's too bad. But you want it to be something that's used universally by many, many people.
Yeah.
And and the other thing is, make your money in one business, lose it in another. You know the old phrase.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's just my opinion. But who knows?
Who knows indeed. Errol, it's a delight as always. I look forward to continuing to unpack the stories in the media with you. But for now, Errol Musk, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.